IMAPS and DNS by Sonia Hicks. IMAPS, configuration using the Dovecot application for Linux and hardening recommendations. IMAPS protocol with Dovecot on Linux. Configuration steps. Step 1. Using the package manager included with your Linux distribution, install Dovecot on your server. For instance, you can accomplish this by using the following code snippet. Step 2. Edit the Dovecot configuration file, usually located here. Apply these settings using these code snippets. Step 3. Generate SSL certificates. Configure SSL certificates in the Dovecot configuration by creating or acquiring them. You can create self-signed certificates or use tools like Let's Encrypt. Step 4. Configure firewall by opening the IMAPS port in your server's firewall to allow incoming connections. Step 5. Restart the Dovecot service. To apply these changes, you can do so by using this code snippet. Hardening recommendations. Restrict access using firewalls to restrict access to the IMAPS service to recognize IP addresses or networks. Use access control lists to define which IP addresses or users are permitted to connect to the IMAPS service. TLS encryption. To encrypt data in transit for IMAPS connections, always use SSL/TLS. Security information and event management. Integrate Dovecot logs with a CM system for centralized log analysis, correlation, and alerting. DNS. Configuration using IIS on Windows and bind application on Linux and hardening recommendations. DNS protocol with IIS on Windows. Configuration steps for IIS on Windows. Step 1. Install IIS. Install the Internet Information Services role on your Windows server. Step 2. Configure the DNS zone. Open the DNS manager and configure DNS zones, records, and forwarders as needed. Step 3. Secure IIS. Make sure IIS is adequately protected in accordance with best standards, which should include SSL/TLS settings, user access controls, and authentication. Step 4. Check firewall rules. Open the DNS port in the Windows firewall to allow DNS traffic. DNS protocol with bind on Linux. Step 1. Install bind on your Linux server using your distribution's package manager. You can do this by using the following code snippet. Step 2. Edit the bind configuration file, typically located here. Configure your zones and settings accordingly. Step 3. Create and configure zone files for your domains in the etc bind directory. Step 4. Check firewall rules by opening the DNS port in your server's firewall to allow DNS traffic. Hardening recommendations for DNS servers, Windows and Linux. DNS cache poisoning mitigation. Utilize defenses against DNS cache poisoning attacks, such as the most recent bind releases and correctly configured resolvers. Least privilege principle. To reduce possible attack surfaces, use the least privilege approach to DNS server accounts and services. You may do this by separating DNS server processes and services from other system services and applications by giving them their own limited privilege accounts. Zone transfer restrictions. To prevent unwanted access to DNS data, restrict zone transfers to approved servers. You may do this by including access control lists in the configuration of your DNS server and restricting zone transfers to approved DNS servers.